Hello and welcome to This Week in Nintendo. And this week we're going to be talking about all the overlooked games we can think of on Switch 2. The console's been out for over a year now, and I think most releases have had some kind of spotlight on them, but with the volume of things that release, things are going to fall through the cracks. So we want to start just talking about some of the games you may have missed with native Switch 2 versions. They can be on other platforms, but as long as it is natively running on Switch 2, not backwards compatibility, then it's fair game to talk about. And I'm going to throw this to you first, Ash. Like, what's one just major Switch 2 game you feel just doesn't get the attention it deserves?
Well, I kind of want to go all the way back to the Switch 2's launch for this one. You know me, I'm a big JRPG guy. And I feel like one that kind of surprisingly got lost in the mix, or maybe the launch hype, is Bravely Default. This is a game that was great on 3DS. It was cool to see it surprise re-released in an HD version for Switch 2. But then it just kind of came and went, and I think it just kind of got lost in the Switch 2 launch hype cycle. But, I mean, if you love, like, old school Square Enix JRPG turn-based gameplay, this is a game that, like, should be on everyone's radar. It's just really, really good, period.
I think it understandably got a little bit lost because it's a 3DS re-release at a system launch. Like you're looking at games that can show off what the system can do, and a 3DS port isn't really it. But it is a cool game, though.
It is, and it got some Switch 2 exclusive mini games added to it to replace the Street Pass functionality, or not replace it, but I guess stand alongside it, because the Street Pass doesn't quite work the way it used to, obviously, since there is no Street Pass on Switch 2, but there is like a whole mode that kind of got modified for the Switch 2 version that used to run on Street Pass, and then you've got these like new standalone Switch 2 mini games that use touch controls, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's mouse, so like
or mouse controls. Sorry,
yeah,
mouse controls.
It's one of the few instances of just dual wielding mice. Like very few games taking advantage of that. You're able to just have two cursors at once. You're multitasking. You're flying the airship. You're pulling a thing down while also trying to steer the ship. It's really good. Yeah, like it's one of the best showcases of like what the Joy-Con can do.
Yeah,
and like it's optional, but it's still really neat.
I think one of the things that might have hurt Bravely Default the most, though, is showing off another thing that the Switch 2 does, the key cards. I think it was, it feels like that was the game that was the headliner of why people overlooked it, because those key cards for other games like Hitman or Yakuza, it's like, it sucks, but they are kind of big games. But a 3DS game that with a pretty decent up-res and one new minigame that uses the mouse controls, everybody's like, this should fit on a cartridge. Why is this not on a cartridge?
Yeah, it's only a couple of gigabytes, right?
So it definitely got the side eyes like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And like it's a good version of the game. The load screens are faster, so you get in and out of battle faster than you did on 3DS. I think the scaling has some issues, like the towns don't look as good, and there's no 3D effects, so you don't get that sort of picture book rollout vibe. But yeah, just having Bravely Default available on a modern system, it's cool. But yeah, I think you can kind of see why this one gets a little bit side-eyed.
Yeah, and I mean, at its core, it's a great JRPG. Like, it's worth playing, I think, for fans of the genre. But it is, as you were saying, John, it is understandable to see why it was overlooked. I just hope that I don't know what it is about Square, like, or at least that team. I know they publicly apologized years back for like how Bravely Second was received, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, Bravely Second is one of my two favorite games on 3DS. I think it's like, other than soundtrack, better than Default, even better than Default in every way. And I hope maybe they'll backtrack internally on their view on that game, because Bravely Second is a treasure, and it would be great to have that on Switch 2 to expand the audience for that game as well. So we'll see, but Bravely Second rules, and I hope they also do an HD version of that.
Hopefully. What about you, Derek? Any like big Switch 2 games you feel haven't quite got the attention they deserve?
Well, I'm looking through our list here, and me, limited time. That's sort of my story of my life. And I haven't had the chance to play any of these, but I will. I'm going to focus on Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, because that's one I want to eventually pick up so I can play with my son. And it's always stayed on my radar, but I noticed for everybody else, it's one of those things that they're either highly addicted to if they did pick it up, but they understand that the gameplay is so different, or they just sort of wrote it off and it's out of the conversation. Nobody talks about Yoshi anymore, which is kind of surprising, because even like Crafted World stayed in the conversation for quite a while. Maybe not for the best things, but it just seemed like people looking at it and being like, yeah, it's good, and then moved on.
I think you see that among the GVG crew. I definitely overlooked it. I pick up like most major first-party Nintendo releases, and it's very rare I pass on a platformer from them. But I just didn't see anything that appealing with this one. And then, you know, a few weeks on, like the reviews were fine, but a few weeks on, the people start like seeing another angle to it, and all of a sudden you're seeing it being praised as like one of the best games on the system. And I've got many close friends who are like, there's a lot of depth to this. There's a lot of reasons to come back, a lot of reasons to explore. And I've had so much praise for this one since it came out. Like way further ahead than the reviews let on.
I played the demo, and I could see the vision. And I, too, have a lot of friends who are like, this game is so cool. NOA's marketing did it dirty. Like, you really need to like just dig in and lock in and play this game. I've heard it's one of those games that really, you know, unless you're like, you know, like a young kid playing it, like it's really one of those games that for like an audience like us really only opens up in the post game. That's when the game like really starts. It's one of those kinds of experiences, but that like it's worth it though if you can just like get through the beginning stuff and you get to like the post game. Apparently it shows off some of Nintendo's most creative ideas in any one of their 2D platformers ever, and which is wild to me because obviously their 2D platformers are some of the best in the business. But it's one of those games that, like, when I have, like, a chunk of free time between other games, I really do want to go and dig into it and, like, experience it all the way through. Because the demo is very basic, but I can see the vision for what the game is, even just from the demo. And the visuals are delightful.
Yeah, they are. It's a funny one, because I think just looking at it, it's like, it's just another Yoshi. Like, you know, Woolly World was great, Crafted World was fine. Like, it's like I didn't think I needed another one, you know, from Good Feel.
For older gamers, it feels really basic. It's just, do this with a thing, do this with a thing, do this with a thing. And to me, that didn't bother me because, like I said, this is perfect for my son. To just explore that creativity, see what he can do, figure out how it all goes along. Even gets the name of the characters himself. But then I hear from other people, it's like, you know, apparently there's lore implications for Yoshi within this game about stuff that people
hadn't
never
heard that. That's crazy.
It's just kind of blows their mind in that way. Like, there's a lot to really enjoy for this. And I did forget, Don Alpha Line in the live audience saying that I forgot that this was a $70 game. So Nintendo is variable pricing. Like, sometimes they overestimate how much something is going to sell, it feels like. Because I feel like Tennis is another victim of maybe them thinking that, this is going to sell really well. And then it's just like, I don't know.
This one wasn't 70, was it? I thought this one was 60.
I thought it was too.
Let me take a look.
I think this was the beginning of their variable pricing.
It might have been. No, I see it on Target and Walmart, $70.
Oh, it's the 60 digital, 70 physical.
Right? That's what it was.
But then most retailers didn't abide to the $10 upgrade anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That ties into the whole, like, okay, how much do I want this game? Do I need to pre-order it so I can actually get physical $10 cheaper, sort of thing? And that wasn't a thing for Yoshi. I probably would have picked it up if that was a thing, because it unfortunately that is a tactic that works for me, having a family that all plays Switches. So it's like that's where physical really comes in.
Yeah. And just to go, I guess, back to back with relatively high-profile franchises that feel low-profile on Switch 2, Dynasty Warriors Origins. Like, these aren't like the most mainstream series, but I'd never call a Dynasty Warriors overlooked, just because it always gets a pretty good fanfare. But this port, I think, kind of came and went, and maybe it's because Hyrule Warriors came out 2 months before this. But Origins is like one of the best ports in the entire system. Like, if you want a showcase of what Switch 2 can do, like this is the game to get. Because you get hundreds upon hundreds of enemies on screen at the same time. You get these giant battlefields that you can quickly run through on horseback. The map itself is like this miniaturized, interactive, free roam map. Just the amount of scale and stuff they squeezed on here is crazy. And like, if you compare it to the PS5 version, it's quite hard to tell the difference. There's
really
even
cool.
like an unlocked 60 FPS mode, which gets pretty close to 60. You can lock it at 30 as well, but just like having this much going on and having the frame rate pretty much hit 60 is just absolutely wild in this one.
I remember you praising it when it first came out, and it's one of that had to sort of be on my radar, but I think, at least personally, as somebody who only dabbles in Muso games at this point, I've played the old school Dynasty Wars. It's what got me into the whole styling, as like renting 2 and 3 on the PlayStation 2, and I think the thing is that they've done so many crossovers now that regular Dynasty Warriors feels basic by comparison, and it's still the same story, I assume. Maybe they fleshed out more things with Origins, I'm not sure. It seems weird to have a prequel to the Romance of the Three Kingdoms story, so I don't know how that
it's
exactly
an interesting
works.
one, because like, I think all the general themes are kind of like, compared to the crossovers, they're a little bit vanilla, but the gameplay is like way further ahead of what the crossovers are doing. Like, Age of Imprisonment feels like an old game compared to this. But just
Really?
the amount
Interesting.
the amount of new ideas and gameplay innovations, they're way further ahead. They've got like all these different like counters and things like that. Just the scope of the combat, the side objectives, the side quests. There's in terms of just like what you're doing and what you can do, it's like a generation ahead of Age of Imprisonment.
And that may be what kind of had me kind of gloss over this one, only because I loved Age of Calamity, despite its limitations on Switch 1, and I played the hell out of Age of Imprisonment. I really, really enjoyed it, and I think I just felt like I got my fill of Muso gameplay just from basically not 100% in that game, but almost. And so I think that's why maybe I kind of glossed over this one, but I feel like maybe once I'm in the mood again, I didn't realize that it felt so advanced compared to Age of Imprisonment, which I already really loved. So that's really cool to know.
Totally. Let's throw it back to you, Ash. Keep going in a circle. What's another one for you?
So this is one I mentioned earlier when we were kind of formulating this list, and Shellshock mentioned it earlier, and that's Kunitsu-gami, Path of the Goddess. Now, of course, this is not exclusive to Switch 2, but it is not on Switch 1. And this came out at the Switch 2's launch, and is already a pretty cool niche game in the sense that it's kind of like an action strategy game that combines both like real-time combat and tower defense elements, which is already pretty unique in its own on its own. But then you got the Switch 2 version, which adds like cool mouse controls to it, and that just really makes for something that's really just wholly unique on the Switch 2, because you've got functionality there that isn't on other platforms. And I didn't play this actually on Switch 2. I played it on PS5. And it's a cool-ass game. I don't even like tower defense. Like, if you had told me, like, tower defense, like, oh, God, okay, whatever. No, this game's really cool. And so I haven't experienced the mouse controls for myself on Switch 2. But I can see why they would add another element of really unique gameplay to a game that's already so unique on its own.
So I did get this on Switch too.
Yeah.
My friend went to Japan and he brought back the physical game key card, which didn't release globally. So this is digital only. Most of the world is game key card in Japan as well. So he brought that back for me, and it's really good. It's a Capcom game, which I think was kind of overlooked in its initial release. Like, I think you say Kunitsu-gami, and most people probably don't know what you're talking about.
Right,
But
right.
on Switch 2 in particular, it's just this really great flow where you can just put the Joy-Con down on your lap or on a table, and it just goes straight into mouse mode. So you can have that easy action of like dual controllers, the Joy-Con, and then putting it down, you just go like seamlessly into the mouse mode. It's really, really impressive how they do that. And I think in terms of just general control, it kind of puts it further ahead than like any other console, even PC. Like, yeah, I guess you can dual wield a controller and go straight to your mouse on PC, but it's not as seamless as just putting that Joy-Con down. The performance could be a little bit better. It's that general sort of Capcom unlocked stuff that they do on Switch too, but it's still really fun. And yeah, a really cool showcase of how seamless that mouse can be.
Yeah, I
Cool.
remember seeing it. It's so funny. The first time I saw it, I was like, is this a new Onimusha? That's the general feeling of it at the time. And it's not a game that you would think there would be tower defense in how it's set up, but it was always kind of gorgeous. And I was curious how well it was. And I think this does count as very much an underrated game or a hidden gem because back in 2024, I don't know if it's changed since then thanks to the Switch 2 version or anything like that. But Capcom did say that it failed to meet their sales expectations, which is a shame. Especially because Pragmata, which is also kind of a weird original title, did do well and did get a lot of attention. So I'm not sure what the difference was. But I mean, it's one of those in the back of your mind. It's like maybe on sale. Just pick up.
There aren't many Capcom like sales blunders these days. I think it's just kind of this and Exoprimal, which I don't think even did that poorly. But otherwise they're like hit. But this is just the weird outlier where it's still really good, but people just didn't really play it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At least Capcom's putting out stuff like this because it does feel like a good AA game.
Yeah, absolutely. But give us another one, Derek.
Another one.
Yeah.
I am going to say, and this one's almost entirely on me. I should just go ahead and pull the trigger. It won't take me even that long. Dear Me, I Was, because you praised this like crazy, John.
Yeah, it'll take you 1 hour and then you'll be done.
Exactly. And I think that's the other thing is that sort of holds you back a little bit. I got to think of it like a movie rental, even though I own it at that point. But it's just like getting from the bargain bin. Like you only get it that one time, but that one time sticks with you. You have that one really interesting story playthrough with very interesting visual language, and it feels like a proof of concept. And I want to know what this team's going to do with this proof of concept further down the line. Like, how do you expand upon this?
Yeah, the tech's really good.
Yep.
Just how they're able to tell a story without words. It's just emotion through the music and the illustrations, and just that art style carries it so far. And like it's a little bit interactive, not really though. So that you could just watch it on YouTube, but I think the small interactions do a lot to elevate the storytelling. It's just really interesting how it's able to convey all those emotions in an hour through a fairly uninteractive form. It's hard to sell, but I think once you play it and once you just sit down and engross yourself, it's just one of the coolest things.
Yeah, I agree. I played this with my wife several months back, and we both really enjoyed the experience. Like it's, as you said, it's one and done in like an hour and change, and it was just really moving. It's a really moving, bite-sized experience with some limited interactive segments, as you said, John. And there's nothing really quite like it on the Switch 2. It's just really kind of unique in its own way. And I think it's like $7 or $6 or something on the eShop. It's totally worth the price of admission, and it's just a really moving little story.
Yeah, there are mouse controls too if you want to get a few more Switch specific things out of it. But it's one of those games that you can just blast through, but it sticks with you. So I think it's kind of worth it. It probably goes on sale, I imagine, as well. And it's done by the Another Code team. For Arc System Works have a bunch of Another Code and like ex-Singing employees in their crew now. So can't wait to see what they do next because they're very talented.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a little gem there. I have one more specific Switch 2 game to talk about. But yeah, let's think about games that also just run better on Switch 2 and you feel like were kind of overlooked on Switch 1, but get that normal performance boost just through the hardware.
Yeah.
But while you think about that, I've got another game to talk about, which is Ys 10 Proud Nordics, which was also regular Ys 10 was on Switch 1 as well. But Proud Nordics is one of the few 120 Hz showcase games. And we've had that in like a few side-scrollers, which is cool. But getting it in a fully 3D game I think just it adds to that smoothness factor. And having this real-time RPG with real-time combat, that's just running this fluid is really nice. I played through a whole bunch of this in handheld mode, and I didn't play Ys 10 in its original release, so getting back to do this on Switch 2 was really nice. And it's my first Ys in a while. Like, I played Ys a handful of years ago, but coming back to it in a full 3D form was really nice. And yeah, just like these characters, the combat, it's all great. It was already great in the original release, but it's just elevated by 120 hertz, which is still kind of a rarity to get in Switch 2 games.
Yeah,
so I really enjoyed this one.
Nice.
I'm building my way up to the East. I've played 1, 2, and 0, so there's quite a few more to get to, and I know I can go to the later ones, but I'm one of those weirdos who like to play through the series as released, even though like there's newer remakes of older games and all that stuff. So eventually I want to get to Proud Nordics, and it's nice to have, I guess, the best version out as well, since it did struggle.
And I think like most people probably don't have 120 hertz TVs, so having a handheld that just has it on there is kind of like the easiest way to try it out. So it's a really good port. But let's explore further into the world of Switch 1 games that just play better on Switch 2. And I think it was Ash then me. So Derek, anything come to mind?
I was looking through what I have here, and the thing is, I never played it on Switch 1 because it just immediately gave me the Switch 2 version when I did play it. But it's certainly left the conversation, and I feel like that's a little bit of a shame, even though it's definitely a weird one, and maybe not the what everybody's looking for in it, but I found myself really enjoying it, and that's Shadow Labyrinth.
Cool.
The Pac-Man Metroidvania, and it's weird. It's different. It's so not what you'd expect for that sort of thing. And I know a lot of people came into it and be like, not for me. But I think there is a certain type of people that clicks with it. And I think I'm one of them. It's tough. It is surprisingly tough, but it's also kind of amusing how they work in the Pac-Man-isms of the entire game in the game, and it plays well. It looks very pretty. It's sort of just a interesting little title. And again, it didn't get a lot of. I'm looking through the other reviews. It didn't get a lot of great reviews, but it's one of those weird ones that just sort of stuck with me. And
it's
probably
a special
why.
One. Yeah. Like getting all the broader Namco stuff in there is really cool as well. I think it's one of those really. It's like a really memorable game. You play it and it's not flawless, but it is a hell of a lot of fun and distinct. It's one of those with a number on a review doesn't really portray how interesting this one is.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Ash? Let's keep going around.
Well, one I want to, I guess, call out because both Matty Meister and Shellshock have been talking about it in live audience. Ball Pit. This is a game that it does exist on Switch 1, but it's improved performance-wise on Switch 2. And I feel like this is just teetering on the edge of Overlooked because I feel like within the indie scene, it became fairly popular.
It was pretty huge,
yeah. But it's not like on a level of like a Shovel Knight or a Mina or something. But it's but people know about it, so it's just teetering on that edge. But I still think it's worth mentioning just because there's nothing else like it.
Nice. I didn't check it out. I should have, but it got one of those free weekend deals that Nintendo does for certain games.
Yeah. This is a game that I sadly I feel like would really benefit from a demo because it's kind of a hard sell just talking about it because it's like Breakout crossed with a roguelike, which on paper is like I don't know if I want to drop mine. I think it's like $20 on this, but so I feel like it's one of those concepts that just kind of we could use a demo, kind of like Rhythm Heaven and Groove, for example, and it hasn't gotten one to my knowledge. But it's a cool game, and it is better on Switch 2 than on Switch 1.
Yeah, it sold 2 million copies, so I don't think it's overlooked.
I guess not.
It doesn't seem like it maybe feels overlooked because it's
maybe it's like one of the feels
it's indie, but
more overlooked than it actually is. Well. Yeah.
I got another one for you, John, just for just in terms of I never see it talked about that much in the RPG spaces, and it's still so funny to me that I was introduced to it thanks to a sponsorship deal, and that's Romancing SaGa 2.
Oh, sure.
And that got a Switch 2.
Cool.
They got a Switch 2 edition, and the game is just so much more interesting than you'd ever think. It has a really fun gameplay system, really fun hook with just how time passes and how you explore into things and the customization within it. And it's, I don't know, it's just one of those games where I've not finished it, but it's special enough there's like sticks with you. You know, you play that opening bit, it's like, no, there's some sauce here. There's something I really like about this.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's worth checking out, as, you know, 2 other huge RPGs released next month.
Yeah. It's one of the few Square games to get a paid upgrade on Switch 2. But they did some free ones, like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy Tactics were free. This was just a standard Switch 2 edition you pay for, and then they kind of stopped after that. But yeah, it was nice that they did it in the first place, and it looks great on Switch 2.
Yeah. Plus RPGs, you know, it's just nice to play on a handheld a lot of time. You can switch back and forth. I think that's where, you know, you take advantage of that sort of thing.
This was one that surprised me too, Derek. John and I got to demo this at Gamescom, actually. It was a preview at Gamescom alongside Dragon Quest III HD 2D. And it was like, it was that game where you're like, okay, we're going to play Dragon Quest III, and out of obligation, we also like previewed this other game. But then when I actually sat down to play it, I'm like, whoa, no, this game has the sauce. I remember telling John at the time, I was like, I actually really enjoyed this. I've never really been a big SaGa guy. Some of the games are a little bit obtuse. Well, I should say all the games are a little bit obtuse and hard to get into. But the remake of Romancing SaGa 2 lowers that barrier to entry significantly, I think. And I sat down and played it. I was like, whoa, this game's cool as hell. Yeah. And I haven't had the chance to go play the full game, but hearing you praise the full game totally, you know, reminds me of what I loved about the demo too. And no, this is a really cool game.
We've got Maddie Meister in chat asking if Trails in the Sky first chapter is considered overlooked. And I think it is, but also...
Thought about that one? Yeah.
The Switch 2 edition itself, I think, is kind of overlooked, because it didn't get a physical release. Right. Instead, it was like $1, like $1 to get the Switch 2 edition. So way cheaper than most of them. I think the only reason they did that is because I think in Japan you have to have some kind of fee, so they just threw out the cheapest they could out there. But yeah, you get like a full-on Switch 2 version of Trails in the Sky. Really cheap if you get the Switch 1 physical or the Switch 1 digital, and it's pretty damn great. That's how I got it, the physical one, then the upgrade, and yeah, it's a really good time on a native Switch 2 version.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I'm planning on playing it very soon. It's hard for me to consider, like, it's not as recognized, but the Trail series is also just one of those that's just constantly around, and from what I hear, this version, this remake sold extremely well for the series. Yeah. So it's hard for me to consider that overlooked.
It's high profile overlooked. Like it's niche, but it's like a loud niche.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Well, in terms of just going back to things that don't have Switch 2 editions or Switch 2 versions but run better on Switch 2, I want to give a big shout out to Harvestella, which I don't think ever really got its flowers. Square did a lot of stuff in that era, and a lot of it got just lost in the shuffle. This is a great one. I think it feels a lot like just a PlayStation 2 era RPG in the best way, where it's ambitious and creative. You know, it's like Harvest is in the title. Farming stuff is in there, but all the farming is to aid the dungeon crawling and the world exploring. It's like you're farming to use as like health items, or you can sell them to get like better equipment. So it's this fantastic loop of like going out into the world on like a Majora's Mask day timer, and like you're doing as much as you can within that day. And it's like, do I spend part of my time farming? Do I spend part of it progressing the story? And like you always feel like you're achieving something. And it's also just gorgeous. The art style is fantastic. The story's pretty great. And like on Switch 1, there were definitely dips in the frame rate, and Switch 2 just clears it all out. So if you ever overlooked it and like you haven't heard of it, maybe I think Switch 2's the time. That's the place to play it on.
I think its timing was also suffered a bit, just because it was during that glut of just so many farming games. That was always a joke. All right, how many farming games we're going to get in this direct? I picked it up, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the time will come, but it's a really cool game. And yeah, definitely it got overlooked because there was so much farming stuff, there was so much Square stuff that year. But yeah, I think it's one of the standouts of Switch 1, like one of the coolest hidden gems.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, just to put a few more in there, any other like just Switch 1 games coming to mind for you guys?
I've been looking through the release list and trying to see like what kind of stands out as, that hidden gem aspect of it, and or at least overlooked, and nothing's really outright standing out to me because it's either like really small and you don't expect to see not a lot of talk about it, or it definitely got a lot of attention when it came out. So I don't have one, although no. I was about to say the Hello Kitty game because Amy picked that one up, and it's just another sort of social game, but it's a really good social game. She loves it. There's a lot to do. They're still releasing DLC for it, so I imagine
that got a native Switch 2 edition too.
Yeah, so
yeah. I think it counts because like you look at it and you think this is just like a licensed game. But it's like Animal Crossing with like a little bit of Breath of the Wild in there.
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like actual objectives though, isn't there? Rather than just, living with all your like animal friends.
Yeah, they actually have goals for you as well. It's there seems to be a lot more to it, and I think they just put out a trailer for their third DLC expansion for it, so it's like, all right. I mean, the other thing is it's that I found kind of cool because I know of Hello Kitty, but Retsuko from the more what was it called, the screamer Red Panda that gets into the metal music that was on Netflix for a while.
I can't remember that.
Agretzko is the name of it. That character is in it, which I've never seen that character paired up with regular Hello Kitty those characters. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They're bringing in at least one character from that.
Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of discussion in the live audience about some games, and like we've tested like hundreds of Switch 1 games on Switch 2 back when the system came out. So I can think of plenty that run better. But in terms of like the underground ones, I think there's a few. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots is definitely one. It's a big series, but that release kind of went a little bit under the radar, and it ran at 30 on Switch 1, which was a pretty like annoying breaking point because the series kind of needs 60. So they uncapped it because Switch 2 can just brute force to 60 anyway. So in that instance, it ended up running worse on Switch 1 because it's then unlocked at inconsistent frame rates. But if you play it on Switch 2, you got a pretty nice 60. And they patched it to a pretty great point where the game's pretty great now. Technically, and yeah, you definitely got to play that on Switch 2 because they kind of balked the Switch 1 version by doing that. So was it a good sacrifice? I don't know, but it benefits you if you're on Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Another one they threw out there was Neo: The World Ends With You, which it was unlocked on Switch 1, so it was inconsistent the entire time. It's just locked at 60 now, which is great.
Yeah. It was kind of a big deal, and then I have not heard a word about it since. I haven't even picked it up myself yet. Scott Pilgrim EX.
Sure.
Oh, great game. Great game.
Yeah.
I played through that earlier this year, and I really enjoyed it.
I've heard it's quite good, and definitely an improvement over Versus the World game. But it is one of those where
way better. Yeah.
Certain beat 'em ups just sort of stay in the conversation, like I'd say Streets of Rage 4, and then this one just sort of like, here it is. It's good. Bye.
Yeah, it kind of came and went really quickly, and it is a huge improvement on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World in pretty much every way, except soundtrack, and by that I mean they're both great in that realm. But if you liked Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, despite its kind of grind heavy mechanics and like odd pacing, Scott Pilgrim EX improves so much on that front, and it's definitely worth it.
Mm-hmm. I guess also on this track, Shinobi Art of Vengeance ran pretty poorly on Switch 1. It came out at 30 FPS, and then they gave it an update which let it run at 60, but then the resolution was cut way back. And they did a Switch 2 edition, like not that long ago. There's even like a physical Switch 2 edition you can get, and it just kind of resolves everything. And I'd say like Shinobi definitely kind of went underground a little bit because like Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi came out around the same time.
And it didn't hear anything about Ninja Gaiden sales performance, but I did play that one, reviewed that one, and really enjoyed Ragebound. And it seemed like Shinobi just did not get the same love, even though it's just as good from everything I could see.
And as Alphaline's saying, there's no upgrade path because it's SaGa. So they make you buy it again.
You buy it once, it's like, oh, here's the better version. Well, thanks.
Yeah. And as Maddie Meister's touching on, there's plenty of like non-underground games that run a lot better. Echoes of Wisdom, Link's Awakening, what else? Bayonetta 3. Like, there's lots of pretty big ones. Resident Evil 5 and 6. They're like locked at 60 now, but they're definitely not low profile.
There's another one I want to mention that is low profile that Maddie Meister mentioned earlier and during the discussion. That is, I'm totally admitting this is a reminder to myself to play this, but this was revealed during an Indie World, and it is improved on Switch 2, and that's Minishoot Adventures. I love me a good twin-stick shooter, and this appears to be that in spades. Apparently it mixes like twin-stick shooting with Zelda 1 style exploration, which sounds really cool, and it makes me think of like the Pixel Junk shooter games back on like the PS3 during like the PS3 indie days. Loved those games, and so this is just serving as a reminder to myself to play this, but also just to shout out another indie that is improved on Switch 2 versus Switch 1. And then one more I do want to call out that I think faded pretty quickly after the Switch 2 launch hype, but it's still really worth playing if you love futuristic racers. Fast Fusion. It's not like super unknown, but it's like not super popular either. And it's a great technical showcase. I think it does suffer from a bit of having too much remixed content from earlier games in the series, plus no online play. But if you don't mind that, and you especially if you haven't played any of the earlier games in the series, like Fast RMX, if you have that F-Zero itch, play Fast Fusion. It's really cool, and it is also Switch 2 exclusive.
Yeah, I liked having the jump button in this one. That added a new dynamic to it. But I think it didn't feel that fresh to me, though. It was kind of like more racing,
especially if you played the other games.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the other ones, then totally.
Yeah.
Not Maddie Meister. Natalie's mentioning Dench Attack. We were going to mention that, but I think Dench Attack and also the Mermaid Mask are ultra high profile in the indie realm right now. Like they're terrific. But I don't think you can call them hidden gems or overlooked. But they're definitely fantastic games. Like some of the best this year.
It's not out yet. I've not played it, but its reputation is very good. It came out on Switch. It's getting a Switch 2 version pretty soon. It's later this year at some point. If you want a Persona 1 and 2 throwback, Demonschool.
Oh, for sure.
That's one to keep an eye out on. If you're a Persona guy, if you're a Persona person, but frustrated that 3 and up get all the focus, Demonschool is one to look at.
100%. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we can keep throwing out games, but this is probably a good point to cut things off. We've been really enjoying lots of underground Switch 2 games, and like in that 1 year, there've definitely been some that have slipped under the radar. But I think that the real obscure stuff is probably still to come. As the lineup just goes more robust, and things are coming out all the time, things are going to slip through. So, a year from now, 2 years from now, I think we're going to have a really cool list. But as we are, there's still some stuff that maybe not everybody knows. So maybe check that stuff out, whether it's a native Switch 2 game or a Switch 1 game that plays better on Switch 2. But if you want to join that little box down there, over there, in live audience, you can. You can support us over on Patreon, where you can watch any discussion that we record live as we do it. Also, because this is Week in Nintendo, you can also listen to the audio version of this before it goes public. So you can get a nice, easy way to listen to this wherever you want to, early, before anyone else. How cool is that? So consider supporting us, and we will watch you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.